What's up, everybody? Ducks and Download here. As you can tell, things are a little different right now. Some of the guys are still getting all the stuff ready, but I'm here. We'll start this. Just welcome everyone in. I'll even do it in chat. Welcome, everyone. Because I am so happy that you all are here. Because this last episode of Andor needs to be talked about because it was crazy. It was absolutely stellar to see this. Let's see if I can. Yeah, we haven't got anyone else in right now. Hopefully Mike will be in soon. Send him the reminder, like, man, if you asleep. Man, if you asleep. But you know, that's just how things work around here. It's alright. Oh, it happens. It happens. Forgive a bit of the sound quality. I'm getting the new mic set up and everything. Hey, there we go. Get the wife in here soon. Helps me have my big head all over the camera. So though, more or less, kind of threw some Battlefront in the background, just for something. A little hectic when you're streaming with baby, but you guys know it's just gonna be the way that it is. That's just the way it is. Let's make sure everything's working good. Blammo whammo. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I'll turn myself down a little bit, guys. I know I can be a little loud. I apologize for that. Again, all right. Andor. Again, 1 through 3. 1 and 2 were a little on the slower side. I wouldn't call them slow, more or less. I should say building. They were doing a lot of story building because we're not going to have Jedi, because we're not going to have that many cameos, which we don't need. This needs to be its own thing. This needs to be something completely put aside and really just pushed for us Star Wars fans to have a new experience. We don't always have to have a Skywalker. We don't always have to have a random, like, crazy Sith villain or something. I don't think that's necessary whatsoever. So yes, the fourth one though was really awesome. Yeah, I got the Mando. I'm here. Yeah, baby. Let's make sure everything here is good. Desktop.
No, they had to do a lot of world building because we're not
Yes.
as familiar with these characters. We have to actually like have something to like them.
That is very, very true. That is very, very true. What would you say in the fourth episode was your favorite?
The artifacts.
The artifacts. Who's not gonna say the artifacts? The
Which
artifacts
sucks because
were
I
so
love Mon
awesome.
Mothma.
Mon Mothma's so cool. She got hardcore overshadowed. They were just like, here's Mon Mothma. Wow. All right. So anyway, here's some Mandalorian armor, and here's this Easter egg, and here's this Easter egg,
It
here's
really
this Easter egg.
sucked because like I was not paying attention to
Oh.
anything with her in it. I was
Oh, I
too
felt
busy
so
looking at
bad.
all the Easter eggs.
I felt so bad because I was doing the same thing. I was doing the exact same thing. I shouldn't say I felt bad. I didn't feel bad. Those are really cool artifacts, though.
They were.
And we will definitely be going over those. That's going to be, of course, one of the new things that we gotta just really go over. So I'll bring a little window over
Honestly,
here.
I'm
so we can
I'm
open them up
kind
real
of
quick.
struggling. No, okay, I remember most of the episode now. It's just I want to know more about all the artifacts that were there, like the Calicori.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
what was
So
that?
we'll look at
That
that
was
one
the
first,
first
then.
real live like Calicori thing. But it was metal.
It looked metal. It was very thin because the one we see from I'm blanking on her name. Hera. The one we see from Hera's family is wood. It looks very tribal
it looks
and old
wood
and chunky.
Or like clay, like maybe
Clay
like
could be it,
fired
yeah.
clay, some kind of pretty basic looking material, but it looks really cool. There it is in the background.
Right. Let's see. Trying to find a good picture of it. That's always the fun part with this. Trying to find good stuff. But okay, so to you, a Calicori is a family heirloom from a Twi'lek family. So
That's all we really know.
do you think
though.
this one would be really new then, or something?
I think.
it
I mean,
is
I think
so.
it's ancient. Obviously, I mean, he's got it. It looks very different.
It does. All right, guys, let's put this over here real quick. So, real quick, we'll just talk about what's on the screen then. First, here's the Calicori. You can see that it has. Try and get it out of our face. Oh. But yeah, you can see that it has a lot of really intricate work on it, which is the crazy part, especially up here in the top, like four different symbols.
I'm gonna guess that has something to do with
But it almost looks
family.
gilded. Like the whole thing almost looks like it's made out of gold.
So maybe a wealthy family?
Maybe a very wealthy family, yes. Maybe a very wealthy, which, you know, immediately they're like traders. They immediately sold everyone out. That's the only way you get wealthy in the Star Wars universe is by selling people out to the Empire.
Well, yeah. But I think, I mean, obviously it's something historical.
Yeah.
But
it's very elegant.
Maybe like a wealthy family or like a either merchant or guild kind of thing.
Or I wonder if it's maybe it's like a Calicori that was gifted to someone, like not really a real one. That's why it looks like that.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Half this shit could be fake because it's artifacts, and that's usually what happens with why can't I do the words? Artifact collectors like that.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're real. They could be some weird random thing. Somebody's like, oh yes, this was a family heirloom.
Yeah, you're also paying for discretion, and you're paying for hopefully that he's a good collector. We have Mando armor here. The odd thing about this one, this is a big one because it has a full body thing here. It has these little jutting wings right here, small shoulders, huge pauldrons, or I should say, so small like collarbone. A good chest, but then like it goes all the way down to the bottom, and it almost looks like it would go all the way down to like the cod piece.
Yeah.
The only time I have ever seen that is the Neo Crusaders from mostly like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff. They're the only people who had like a full body suit that was like all kinds of like all armored except for like the really old Mandos.
Yeah.
I like how I type in Mando armor and it's giving me the Mandalorian, and then now there were a lot of other Easter eggs in this, just from like things just being named.
I mean, that horn in the front of it is from Kashyyyk, right?
It is a Kashyyyk war horn. That is very true.
And then the helmet I found out. I realized why I liked it so much.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it before.
Wookiee helmet.
I picked up on that quick. I was like, this is familiar.
That right there, that's the Wookiee helmet next to all the mace and everything. There's the Calicori again. There is that. But yeah, that is a Wookiee helmet.
I love how they tried to sneak this stuff in. They're like, hey, look, it's Mon Mothma!
Now, one of the other crazy things, though, is... there is also a...
I saw that.
The Keldori mask. The big one, though, really, the other big one is that we get the helmet, at the very minimum, from Galen Merrick or Starkiller's Sith Stalker outfit. And, like, that helmet is, like, one for one, that is the helmet. Like, that is the helmet. Don't know if it's not canonized in nothing, so everyone get your little hands out of that pie. Like, I would love for that to be the case and for Starkiller to be a thing, but that's not exactly how that works.
Of course.
Yeah, but there were a lot of things in that shop. Chaco has talked many times about it. He has a really great video. I highly recommend going over to Dark Chaco's and checking that out eventually. But for now, the biggest thing to me was the mentions of the Rakan Empire. The fact that we got to actually hear Rakata in live action, it floored me. I could not believe we actually got to hear and see Rakatan. Because that's my whole thing. Old Republic is my number one. It is what they call it, a blue kyber, like sky crystal. That's cool. Wow. Whatever. It's Rakan. It's from the Rakatan Empire, or from, I should believe, people who rose up against the Rakatan Empire. But all of that aside, I am super thrilled to have actually heard Rakatan.
Yeah, you, stopped what you were doing.
I had a
made us stop.
Yep.
Rewound it.
Yep.
Because I was more focused on, it's Blue Kyber, and I turned to you and I missed them saying Rakatan, and you were like, Rakatan.
Yeah, I was like, who cares about your stupid blue stone? That's cool. There's a lot of them. No, I want to talk about these dudes right here, the Rakatan people from the Infinite Empire. The Rakatans are a species of extremely dominant Force users, and they were mostly in tune with the dark side of the Force. and they took over a lot of things. They had what was known as the Infinite Empire, and when the KOTOR games, the first KOTOR game, you actually go to their planet, Rakata, and talk to a lot of them and deal with the massive ship that is fueled by dark side energy and suns. It's a crazy awesome game, but the Rakatans themselves now being like a full canon thing is really, to me, that brings in more Revan stuff, because those are the main people who spur all of the actions of the early on Jedi Civil War, after Mandalore, and after the Sith and inclusions. Like, that's what gave Revan all of the power he had, was working with the Starforge and destroying the Starforge. So I am so thrilled to think that we're finally going to get to see something with the Starforge. Maybe actually get some Revan stuff. Maybe one of these other artifacts is going to pull out of nowhere. Is going to be like a Revan's mask, and then we're all just going to literally fleeing feces on the walls, because it's going to be so crazy cool.
I mean, there's so many things they could do that would make us just lose it.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean,
immediately.
Already we've lost it because we had so many artifacts in that.
Yes.
Did you see the holocrons?
Yeah, there were 2 very large holocrons. Usually they're a bit smaller. These ones were massive, almost like the one I have right there. Kind of see a little pyramid in the background. Yeah, there was a Sith holocron and a Jedi holocron in the background of this guy's shop. There were also panels from what a lot of people believe the original gate on Lothal, or not on Lothal, but on Mortis. That's the big Mortis arc. On Mortis, though, the World Between Worlds gate, because of the geometrical shapes on these tablets of stone. So there's that. Again, we have the Wookiee blowhorn, Wookiee helmet. There's a Wookiee shield. There's a Gungan shield. We have a Keldor breathing mask, which does apparently look, and from what I've seen, yes, it does look oddly a lot like Plo Koon's.
That could be just the standard thing.
I don't think it's going to last, though, because don't forget, Plo Koon got shot down in the air in a fighter and crash landed. It blew up.
So I don't think it's his. I think it may be just one of.
Yeah, maybe it's just like an ancient Keldor, or it's like a Barando monk.
You know, come to think of it, I don't know if half of this stuff is actually ancient, because think about there's not a lot of aliens in this in the Empire. Right. So it would be considered like luxury to have some kind of artifact of one of them, so they're not necessarily like ancient objects.
They could not. Well, I know the one thing that he does say is ancient is the Utapawan mace that he originally tries to sell Mothma. That one he says is ancient, and of course,
I'm sure there are like ancient things, but you're gonna get a lot of collectors or a lot of rich people in the Empire.
It's like the Wookiee shields and stuff. Those aren't old.
I want this.
It's just a Wookiee shield. Hey, you guys want a Shriwook Wookiee shield? There were a plethora of really awesome Easter eggs in that, and they were like, oh, there's not gonna be that much Easter eggs. Don't keep your eyes peeled for Easter eggs. They lied to us, but I'm okay with it. I'll take this deception, and I'll love it. I love this series. This series has been really good, and the 4th episode, away from all the Easter eggs, was actually still really, really awesome. The 4th episode, I think, really did a lot of bringing together the young rebellion aspect of things. Watching Luthen and the way like he handled being his shop owner persona versus his rebel cell leader persona, that was really stellar. The other really big thing, though, is the acting. Luthen himself. Of course, a Skarsgård is going to bring it, but Luthen is easily becoming one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. I really like Luthen. I think he's a really cool character.
I really enjoy him too. I can't wait to see more about him or anything, because he kind of gives those like collector vibes. I turned it off. I'll tell you what.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed him.
Yeah. And then of course he's pretty much taking over like a mentor figure for Andor, which is going to be really good, and taking over especially as like I wouldn't say father figure, but he's going to be the rebel cell leader. He's going to teach Andor to become who he is in Rogue One, to do what he has to do. And it's also cool to see Mon Mothma's side of this, where she is the person who is funding all of this and helping them really get everything they need. Because it's very hard, of course, in this galaxy ruled by an empire for a rebellion to get any funds, any ships, weapons. And between her moving funds and kind of like maneuvering things around, and Luthen and his team's excursions, that's pretty much the only way they're able to keep the rebellion alive. And they do a really good job with that. We get to see a new like little rebel cell, and of course, there's no trust for poor Andor, which you can't expect them to. They're a bunch of rebels living in the mountains who are about to do a near suicide mission. They're not going to be very trusting, so I don't blame them on that. But they pushed it a lot. They were like, none of us trust you, and I was like, okay, well he's there.
Yeah, it felt really weird, like
yeah,
forced, kind of like. But it just makes sense.
But that explains it explains it because it's the early part of the rebellion.
You don't know who to trust. Yeah. I mean, even in the later rebellion, you don't know who to trust.
Right, but at least then they were kind of winning and there were battles and like, it was becoming a thing. This is before anything's taken off. This is like, the series rebels. These are just small incursions. These are literally just stealing like a couple $1,000s worth of material. That's it. Just to survive.
Yeah. It's really... it's so young, and I love seeing the beginning of all of this. Yeah. Because it really is the beginning of the rebellion.
Yep. And so that would be really cool if we do get to maybe see like Hera or Kanan or any of the people from the Ghost in live action.
Because it's taking place at the same time.
Now, again, I don't need to see the cameos, but I'm a Star Wars nerd. Who doesn't want to see cameos when you have a fandom this massive?
Gib. Mike asked if he still wanted to join.
Why did he ask and not just join?
On Discord.
That's... Alright guys, sorry about this.
Make it.
Didn't think we would need to invite him, but now we know. And he will hopefully be popping on soon. So
start of the rebellion. Seeing cameos. Yeah. I would be excited to see Leia. I think I brought it up already, but seeing a young Leia would be really good.
Again, I will not argue the fact that not seeing anyone and having 0 cameos and this being its own standalone thing would be awesome too. Yeah. Because I don't want to again, Mon Mothma, we got this amazing character, Mon Mothma, and no one's talking about her scene. They're talking about what was in her scene. Oh, look at this, and look at that, look over there, and over here, and over here.
Because they did that wrong. They should have introduced her, and maybe outside. Maybe
her big thing then is with her husband.
Yeah.
Which everyone hates.
Oh, dude.
Everyone hates. Who doesn't? Who
I wanted so bad to hit him.
It's not any good for poor Mon Mothma in her love life either, due to the fact you can kind of tell that sorry guys, lives are just always gonna be, I guess, a little hectic. Mon Mothma's husband is let's just be honest, a sad sack, a pathetic, like, I wouldn't even call him like do-gooder. He doesn't do good. He likes the bad Empire people. He thinks they're fun because he is everything that Mon Mothma hates. Her husband embodies the rich, lavish lifestyle where he goes where he wants, does what he wants, says what he wants, eats what he wants, yada, yada, yada. He embodies that 1%er kind of elitist person who is exactly happy with Palpatine ruling the galaxy and completely just taking over. So I don't understand how Mon Mothma is with him. I don't know how divorce works in Star Wars, but apparently it's still kind of frowned upon, so she just doesn't do that. And it might raise some questions, so I guess it's an ultimate cover. He's a good cover blanket.
If she left him, she would lose her status.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he's the reason she has that status in the first place.
Right, maybe. That could be very true.
Or it's his money.
Yeah.
Because she's a senator.
Right.
They get money. They don't get that lot of money.
She worked hard to get where she is, but he's got all the philanthropy playboy sides of it. Yeah. To all the parents out there, you always will understand what happens with sleep regression and when he takes a long nap in the beginning of the day. So then, let's just keep talking about the fact, though, that Easter eggs have been a very large part of Star Wars for an extremely long time, as I do hope they continue to be. The Easter eggs, the callbacks, the cameos, those parts of Star Wars are honestly always one of my favorites. It does give you that sense of nostalgia. It does entirely just kind of push you into a space of, I like that stuff. But that's the point of it. Why else do you watch a movie except for to be mindlessly entertained, to be taken away for a little while? Yeah, being touched and moved and sent through a sprawl of emotions can be very entertaining, but it does not have to be always like that all the time, 100%. To me, I really think that the cameos and fan service is, I mean, that's why it's called fan service. It is there to service us and to give us just like a happy little push of endorphins. The whole reason we go to see a movie. I really enjoy, I think, with these kind of movies too, especially in the Star Wars universe, how it brought about a lot of cameos. Star Wars having like actors in random spots kind of like led a lot of other companies to do this. Daniel Craig, 007, is the stormtrooper that lets Rey out of her binders. What was the other one? Not Tom Holland. The actor who plays Venom, cannot believe it. Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is also a stormtrooper, but his scene was cut entirely out of the movies. He was in the sequels. It's crazy. We have Simon Pegg, of course, does play Unkar Plot. There's so many of these amazing little things, though, where people just kind of pop in all of a sudden and are entirely encased, and it's a super famous person that we would have loved to have seen their face. But part of the mystique of being in Star Wars is not having your face. Of course, George Lucas, he was there. George Lucas's son plays a young Jedi. His daughter and him are Pantoran, elite, like, senators, so everyone gets like a little round. All the big higher-ups on Star Wars have pretty much been in Star Wars. If we're going to talk about Easter eggs, though, I think one of my absolute favorite Easter eggs actually comes from a mistake. In Episode 2 of Attack of the Clones, when Jango Fett, after fighting Obi-Wan Kenobi, is getting back onto the Slave One, he actually bumps his head on the top of the Slave One. This is a nod and an Easter egg kind of going back to Episode 4, A New Hope, when a stormtrooper is walking into one of the stormtrooper like barracks, or I should say the hangar room, after Luke and Han have emptied it. Well, he walks in the very back, the third guy entering just slams his head on the door, and it's always been one of my favorite Easter eggs since I was a kid and I first noticed it. So just seeing that again in Attack of the Clones was awesome, having like a little callback to that one. I look forward to my son getting to have his own little Star Wars 2 to see what they pull from Mars to put in his for us once we're all shaking in our boots and walking with canes. See what random things they throw into the new Star Wars. I hope we get more than just the Rakan, though. It would be really awesome if we could see far more than just their mention. Get a bit more maybe from Malik or something else from the Old Republic. That would also really,
I just want
really
more
cool.
history.
Oh, more history is always going to be one of the best things ever. More history more Calicories. Did the Togruta have something like that? That's what I hope we get into. Like, go to an alien world, get some alien resistance fighters, and let's just meet an alien race and dive into their culture. Totally here for it. Don't know exactly what the next episode is going to be because I don't ever watch any of the Next Time On stuff because that seems like a way to spoil things, and I'm not here for spoilers. I think Andor is going to be a really awesome series, though, and it's only just now, it's still just picking up steam, I bet. I'll bet the next episode is going to be even crazier. Now, I don't know about how many Easter eggs, but the next series will definitely be super crazy, and I really look forward to that. There are so many other Easter eggs, though, aside from just the actors. Of course, like there are names mentioned and things like that. There's actually another fun Easter egg for Star Wars is actually in the Galaxy's Edge, one of the bathrooms. There, I don't know if it's still there, but there was definitely a bit of Arabesh or Galactic Basic that said Mara lives or Mara is alive or something like Mara Jade lives. So, of course, everyone then, when that was first found out, probably a few years ago, was really wigging out, expecting that we were actually going to get to see Mara Jade in the sequel movies. But, of course, that did not happen. Let's see. Images. Here we go. There's Apparently in a stall, though, there was this. Yep, Mara Jade lives. Now, that doesn't mean anything, because sadly, she doesn't. And we haven't seen her yet. Could we? Who knows? That's an entire possibility that could still come up, because we don't really have the full story of the Star Wars universe. It'd be weird for Mara Jade to show up, though. I think, of course, now with Luke being gone, because that was her whole thing, is she was her. That was Luke's wife. They made a lot of Skywalkers together. Now that the only Skywalker is Rey, maybe in a sense she is to embody that Mara Jade role and bring about these new line of Skywalkers.
Now, was it like something? Oh, it's something actually in.
Yeah, it's actually in one of the bathroom stalls.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like graffiti or something.
Nope.
Hey, there he is.
It was not. No, it was actually. I don't know if. I think it was like it's a Galaxy's Edge. I don't know what bathroom, like men's or women's, but it was one of the bathroom stalls. It was just a Mara Jade lives.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of people went nuts and really thought that we were going to see a lot of really cool stuff with that one. It did not happen, but not in a bad way. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing alright. How are you guys?
Doing good, doing good. So we've already kind of gone over Andor, but I would love to hear your point of view on the relics and the episode in general. I thought it was a really good episode. Really held its own, and then the relics kind of were like this shining light. Like it's hard to remember the episode without thinking about that really awesome room of Luthen's shops. But the episode itself was good. But man, that shop was awesome.
Yeah, the episode did basically the whole purpose of the episode was kind of almost like an interlude, like a connection between this episode and what's about to happen, or the episodes previous that were setting things up.
Yeah.
So this is just kind of more setup, kind of bringing in characters, bringing in settings.
Also, all the Easter eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the
that
artifacts.
was the purpose of the episode, but it really got overshadowed by all the hidden things.
Yeah, it did. Poor mom, as we say.
Know a lot of extensive lore probably just thought it was just any other episode, but it's pretty much the episode of hidden meaning. I mean, this whole series has kind of had a lot of that, so.
Yeah.
Sorry, he just walked like 3 feet
yeah,
by
he just
himself.
walked out of the bedroom into the living room. Hey, that's on video. Well, at least us reacting to it. But yeah, no, the episode was a really good one, and Mon Mothma's scenes were awesome, but the only one I really remember is how much I hate her husband, because the second they were in another room, I was just looking behind him. I've honestly got to rewatch it again just to see exactly what they were even talking about.
Yeah, they actually dropped a lot of key names.
Yeah.
And that scenes, there's like 3 different scenes they dropped a lot of key names. For the dinner, I can mention what I pulled from there. He mentions 2 people of note that are coming to the dinner, which is Ars Dangor.
Mm-hmm.
He is a character from the Tarkon novel, and he's also part of Palpatine's. If you watch The Return of the Jedi, there's like 2 or 3 guys with these like weird shaped hats.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
one of those guys, and that doesn't address it in the movie, but in the novel, it tells who that is, and it's Ars Dangor. He's basically just kind of one of his close advisors, I guess.
Right.
Speaking of close advisor, Sly Moore, which is a second name drop, is actually seen a lot in the Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
She has no lines. I don't remember her having any lines. She's the bald woman that's often following Palpatine.
Oh,
in
yes.
the Senate. So when he speaks at the Senate, she's standing behind him the whole time.
Yeah, she has a much more prominent role in the comics.
Yeah. But she's essentially at this time, his basically second-hand man, kind of, at least on the senator level. The other scary thing about her in the books, it is found out she's actually Force Adept, so that's one reason he probably keeps her so close.
More than likely.
So that will make an interesting dinner conversation, since she can basically sense what they're up to. And then she drops the Gorman guess at the end as an insult to him.
Okay.
And that's actually a big name drop from Mon Motha.
Yeah.
She addresses that she's concerned because the shipping lanes are getting cut off. She's like, "Well, you gonna bring all these people in? Let's bring in some Gorman guests, because the guests you've invited, just cut off their shipping lanes. That actually shows up in Rebels because the Gorman massacre, which is supposed to happen in a few years after the current time frame,
Okay.
is what causes Mon Motha to actually publicly leave the Senate and publicly speak out against the Empire.
Oh, okay. I remember that episode of Rebels now. Okay.
It was because of the Gormans. So
Wow.
that's actually a pretty big name drop for her to
Yeah.
mention.
So it's really tying everything together and bringing it all in. That's awesome. I know one of the other relics. We were kind of talked about. You had a lot of Wookiee and Gungan shield. There's a Wookiee blowhorn, a Wookiee shield, and a Wookiee helmet. Star Killer's helmet, his Sith Stalker helmet. The armor doesn't match exactly, but his Sith Stalker.
It's the helmet, so
his
that
helmet
counts.
was
the helmet's pretty much the same. I mean, I think the shoulders or some of it looks similar.
A bit, yeah.
And then the obvious Beskar, which is the term for armor, also the same as the metal. It
makes me feel like though
Beskar if we compare it to Din Djarin's, but I doubt it.
The upper part looks a bit more like Din, but it has those more wings. But then it continues so low, it almost has that like Neo Crusader vibe.
Well, originally, until the new Mandalorian show came out, there's kind of a core design in all Mandalorian armor, and it just kind of expands from there. So that's the generation similar to when Din Djarin his armor is based off of.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been from the Purge. It doesn't have to. Jess had brought this up earlier. All those things in there, they don't have to be old, more or less, as it's just
collectible.
Yeah, it's collectible. It's foreign. It's alien.
Because there's not a lot of aliens in the Empire, so it's like a status symbol to be like, I have this from this culture that we like wiped out or something.
Oh yeah, a piece of Beskar armor like that'd be a big talking point for rich people.
And it's also kind of dips into how rich people often buy these ancient relics these cultural relics without realizing what they are.
Yeah.
You see that our current day with Native American, they'll buy expensive Native American like pieces and they have no idea the culture significance. But you see that and the Kalikori, which the significance of that is they're not really valuable, but they're totem. They basically like the family history.
Right. Well, that's why we were so interested in this Kalikori, because it looks so different. Whereas most of the Kalikoris we've seen
we've only seen one.
We've only seen that. Yeah, we've seen Hera's, which is it looks very. It seems like Twi'lek. It's old. It's wooden or clay. It's like it's rustic.
It looks more clay to me.
Yeah, but this one was like gilded and shiny. It looked like it was made of metal. So we didn't know if it was maybe either a rich family or maybe someone. It was like a gift that was actually just made for someone.
Well, we see Thrawn, he says when he looks at the totem and he finds out it's Hera's, he can basically know who she is.
Yeah.
Because it literally is basically her family history in a totem. So if you can read them, it's just kind of like it's your family. And I wouldn't say tree, it's like it's your whole history.
Right.
But it's a huge culture significance to have it. So it must have been a family that either died when the Empire rolled in.
Because we don't get a lot of cultural stuff from the other alien races or anything. We get like little tidbits, little bites, and then we have to guess about it.
Yep.
We should have a lot of heavy-handedness with the Empire on their planet currently. The whole big massacre part hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But you have that, and then we have some Easter eggs in non-Star Wars. Well, we have the Holocron. There's a Jedi and Sith Holocron. Yes. You see that in the back room. And then to the side, you also see a nod to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which is a whip and 3 stones frozen in carbonite just hanging there. So that's
That's funny. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it's a funny story.
Very, very hard to see. It's kind of close. I noticed something odd with the holocrons, and then I was like, I saw it look like there's something frozen in carbonite, so I had to go online to look up the images to see what they were.
Nice high-res images, yeah.
You have to be really eagle-eyed to see it.
Right.
What it actually is.
The whole rest of it, after we had started seeing these artifacts pop up, we were just like, listen to a little bit, pause. All right, what are we looking at? Start, right, listen to a little bit of the lines, okay, pause.
And so, did you go over the name drops conversation between Cassian and his I forgot the guy's name, his informant,
Luc-
his
Lucian?
No, Luthen.
there's several
Luthen,
name
sorry.
drops in that conversation.
No,
Or
the
Rakan.
only name drop I mentioned because it was too crazy for me was the Rakatans.
Well, the funny thing is at the beginning he talks about like his history, and Cassian admitted he wasn't literally the same war as Han.
Right.
But we later find
Yeah, we
out
get
that he
Min
was
Min.
actually just a cook and a deserter.
Yeah.
So the closest he probably would have gotten to Han would serve him chow, but I doubt it.
Right. Han was on the front
basically on the
lines.
I don't.
yeah,
He
was
wasn't
on
on
the
the
front
same side though.
line. No, they were on the same side.
Oh, they were. I thought he was
yeah.
on the other side.
No, they both were on the Empire side.
Okay.
That would make more sense too. Else, since we saw it, he's like, "Fuck this."
But yeah, and then he mentions they're fighting themselves, and that's a reference to the Clone Wars TV show, where they originally were training a rebellion force to overthrow their separatist rulers. So that rebellion force that the clones trained is now fighting the Empire.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
they meant by they're fighting themselves, which is kind of a nod to current affairs overseas that had happened not too recently. And then we get some name drops in the Imperial Intel room because it breaks into that. They mention detention increases in Ryloth, which is from Rebels. The home
Yeah, we see
planet
Ryloth. We see Ryloth a lot in the Clone Wars and in Rebels.
So we know the Empire is currently controlling Ryloth because
Yeah.
they're increasing detention. So that's probably where they got, probably some officer probably took it and then sold it. He probably acquired it because he maybe. We're hoping he's a good guy. I mean, he could. We don't know. He might be just kind of a similar to Saw Gerrera, where he's just in it for revenge.
Right.
We haven't really seen any good from him yet. You see, he does have a side of anger, so there's also that because he did explode on her.
Oh yeah.
He also mentions name. They also mention the name drop of Arvala 6, which is a sister planet to Varla 7. That's the planet from the Mandalorian where he picks up Grogu for the bounty.
Okay.
So
go get some blurgs.
Yeah. So that same planet, but it's close. And then they also mentioned that they're increasing like sending supplies to Scarif because they're preparing to build the Death Star.
Yeah, and then of course
for Rogue One.
Right. Yep. When it came to the Rakatan thing, though, what was your reaction to that? Do you think we'll get any more on the Old Republic? Because they're dropping a lot of hints.
Well, the funny thing, interesting. I had to go back and double down on kind of refresh my information. The information that was so important about it being mentioned was because the Rakatans were one of the first groups to actually use the dark side that we see in history.
Right.
So not only they bring kind of the dark side, but they're also one of the early kind of saber users.
Yeah, I mean in the Dark Horse comics and those old comics, the Rakatans invented the lightsaber.
I have a theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're introducing the Rakatan. They're the first dark side users. What if they're going to bring this in an acolyte?
Okay.
More of the history stuff.
I'd be down.
If anything, it's a possible, hey, we're defining now. This is where the source of lightsabers and the Force. At least that kind of brings it in. This is a possible now. Just mentioning that name just kind of already starts bringing the origins from the Old Republic and kind of Legends canon. And it's funny, just that name opens a ton of doors.
It opens so many doors, but again, because there's so much around them. Because then we get because the Rakatans come before the breaking up of the Jedi Order.
We also get the name drop of the Quadi, because he said it's Quadi. And that is, the Quadi are known for their famous shipyards that surround the planet. It's also an Old Republic name drop as well.
Yeah.
The famous shipyards of Quadi, where literally it's like a ring of shipyards around the planet. And then he says I'm so he doesn't want to be this group, this group, this group, and he mentions that which the next people do. We get the name drop later on from Sargeras with the team,
Mm-hmm.
but he says I don't want to be part of the sex or the partisan front, which is the group of Sargeras. So
Yeah.
that name drop because they've already made themselves famous by now.
Well, and Sagarera's group are so famous for their tactics of whatever it takes. So then,
and then we get some name drops shortly after that again when he lands in. No, not him. The officer from the corporate group lands in a shuttle. To his home planet, which we don't know which planet it is, but we can imagine it's one of the names listed where he's going. Which they mentioned Tel Gordo Travel, which is a shipping company mentioned that actually was invented it only ever was mentioned prior to this in the old Star Wars tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
So like they're really like
that's a really cool
early
callback.
90s.
Yeah.
So and then they also dropped Husson Prime, and that's at a planet that was later blown up by the First Order. That we see in the movie where they show off
the Starkiller base. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that the reason they blew it up is that actually becomes the future capital of the New Republic.
Yeah.
So that's a big name drop.
Yeah, that's one of the crazy things that I really never like thought about, which I love though, is how like they really do, especially after the First Order and everything. The Coruscant got left to the gangs.
And then they did Plexus, which is another planet they mentioned in that they just dropped several planets. That one's pretty important. Well, it's not important. It only ever was mentioned prior was from the newer tabletop RPG.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious.
Then Euphorus Major, which is from one of the children's books from the Rebels TV show. So they deep dived a lot for planet names.
That map that they showed, that whenever he was getting out of the ship, was that the clearest view we've had of the galaxy? Like as a map?
Oh, from their technology, probably, yeah. They showed a few systems.
I would have to cross-reference. I didn't pick up on that, so I don't know.
They zoomed in on it, and it felt important.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you gotta like look at a star chart.
That section of the galaxy, a lot of events happen in that section of the galaxy. So I mean, there's a lot of major events go down where that map is.
I was talking about one of my all-time favorite Easter eggs, aside from what we saw in Andor, just Easter eggs in general. My favorite Easter egg, of course, I was saying was when Jango Fett bumps his head on his ship walking into it at episode 2 to pay homage to episode 4 when the stormtrooper smacks his head on the door going into the Death Star control room. Do you have a favorite Easter egg?
I don't know. I really think it's a funny nod to the Indiana Jones one.
Oh, the Indiana Jones one is funny.
Putting it in carbonite, I think it's really funny.
Yeah, because then you get the Han Solo vibe. Yeah, exactly. It makes sense. Links the two together. Maybe it's what if it's a Force whip in there?
Well, another interesting thing that I didn't realize until I heard the place was that they recorded the planet they were on, the Aldhani planet that they're doing the mission on. It's actually all filmed in Scotland, and the base, the dam, is actually a real location. It looks really similar to what they're using.
Okay. So
you can actually go to this Imperial base now.
That'd be so awesome.
Probably go inside because it's a dam. But...
Right, that'd be so cool. I really think though that there's a lot of really cool Easter eggs. I was talking about how we've had Simon Pegg, Daniel Craig, Tom Hardy have all been in Star Wars. They've just been behind a stormtrooper or a First Order trooper helmet. There's been a lot of really cool stuff within Star Wars, and the Easter eggs are a big part of it. When you get this big, especially when you've been going for this many years and you have this many shows, comics, movies, there are so many things to pull from. But I really need them to keep pulling from the Rakatans. I would love to know so much more. He says he wants it back too, so maybe he'll talk more about it when Cassian gives it back to him or something. I don't know.
Near the end, they did actually pull a planet from the Darth Plagiarist novel, which is Sev Talk. They mentioned Sev Talk. So
I just
think you've
recently read that one. Is that
novel.
where he did his like private parties and like
I
hunting
don't remember.
things?
I don't. I was looking up the where the planet came from, and I saw that was from the Plagiarist novel, and I didn't read further because I haven't read the book yet. Yeah, there's some interesting things. I mean, it's setting up for the mission. We meet the team.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we hear the intelligence. We meet the Empire intelligence. We haven't really met them before, which is
Right.
funny enough. Their whole characters are based on an Empire character from New Hope. There is one Empire guy, officer that's dressed in a white jacket. So it's kind of just they kind of like we only ever see the white jackets occasionally on admirals, which is Thrawn, and then the intelligence officers. So we just kind of get that confirmation of the intelligence side, and Thrawn was kind of an intelligence-based guy.
Oh yeah, well that was one of his
So
main things is they used it for that.
they kind of now tied it fully into the intelligence side, which is cool. And we get to see the whole backstabbing, even with intelligence officers.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, she wants to. He mentions too that she already controls like 6 sectors, or wants another one, and sectors contain like 10 planets or something. No, I
Right.
think, but ends up she's in control of like 40 or 50 planets, and she's already over.
Well, and that's one of the big
Crazy. She
problems
wants
with the
more.
Empire, which was the problems with the Sith, sadly. It's just that
Yeah.
constant infighting and trying to become better than the other one and pushing yourself above your station to do bigger and better things. It's just a constant, sadly. But it's what makes the Empire, and what makes them the bad guys is that constant backstabbing and, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't, but it doesn't matter because damn them all kind of situations. That's the whole essence of the Empire is burn it all down and take it with you if you have to.
We get the actress reprising her role as Mon Motha.
Yep.
She looks just like the original one from the
It's
old movies.
amazing, and she really does do an amazing job of acting. She is a absolute force to be reckoned with. Great on cue, just all around stellar. Really had a
We
good
should
time watching
see,
it.
and to introduce her, and then we were told that we're going to see a lot more of her, which we're looking forward to that, especially because we see a lot of Coruscant.
Yeah,
Which I don't know if you noticed, Coruscant looks a lot different in this show than what we've ever seen before.
yeah. This
It's a
imperial
lot. Usually we
structured.
see Coruscant, it's very colorful.
Yeah,
It has kind of this like almost it has certain hues to it, and now it's like really white toned.
right.
A lot of the colors gone. Yeah, you probably can assume that it's probably just kind of the artistic interpretation of what the Empire is kind of
What they've
sucking the
done
life
to
out of the
it.
planet.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, what Palpatine and his Goonies have done.
So that's and then but the cool thing is
Yeah.
um we see her drop that she has somebody she wants to add in
Mm.
to the group
Which, you know,
to help
hey,
her along with the resistance.
could be
So
Fulcrum. I mean, this
yeah,
could be the way they throw a
time-wise,
cameo.
Fulcrum would be one of the biggest name
Yeah.
drops right now. But currently Leia should be apprenticing under her, but
Mhm.
Leia shouldn't join under the circumstances.
It'd be her dad.
Yeah, I was also thinking it would be Bail Organa.
He technically he should already be involved.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but maybe he just hasn't been publicly involved. But he should already be involved prior to this because he gets in real early.
Well, it would help because I know, yeah, with Alderaan, that's their big thing is they got a lot of money.
He basically almost signs in once he takes Leia. Really.
Yeah.
Well,
there's that cut scene from Episode 3 where all of them are meeting. Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, you know, Padme. They're all meeting and they're all talking about how this is going to happen and how, you know, Palpatine needs to really be taken down.
So he should already be involved, but maybe he hasn't publicly dropped. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then we see mention that from the lieutenant near the end that there is a big Imperial engineer coming to Aldhani. Think that could be Galen Erso. I mean,
absolutely.
That's the only name I could think of as like a big famous Imperial engineer at this time.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would come to this planet.
Oh, Krennic?
Yeah,
it could be Orson. Could be Orson Krennic. But it'd be better. I think Galen Ursa would be better as a person, but Krennic would also make sense because Krennic's not going to allow anything to happen underneath him. As we see in Rogue One, and especially in the Cataclysm book, which will be kind of going on during this time, the Cataclysm book does a really good job of showing Krennic and Orson's, shows Krennic betraying Orson and just like luring him with cookies and treats into the evil empire. But I could definitely see Krennic coming in. That would make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know who else they would do for cameo, but and again, I don't want to see too many cameos. Yeah. I really enjoy this show.
Know.
Yeah, and I get it. I won't be upset either way. To me, I won't be upset if they do a lot of cameos. If they don't, then I'm okay with it. But at the same time, I really, really like how this show feels like it's its own thing.
Yeah. Well, we probably won't even see the engineer because they may even start it before the engineer gets there, and then they'll probably lock the base down, so he probably never makes it.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know if you caught. He goes by this annoying name, Clem.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew where that name came from. He actually didn't make that up.
Oh, really?
It was the name of the guy that helped kidnap him. Well, I call it kidnapping. The guy where he got the gun from.
Okay.
Now I remember. Okay.
Which is another fun Easter egg. The gun, which we talked about this in a gaming thing we were doing. The gun that Andor uses is Kyle Katarn's gun.
Yeah.
It's like a sawed-off cut.
I think I'll talk about that last
shotgun-like thing. It's just so cool, though.
No, yeah, I know.
I mean, we're getting Kyle Katarn, we're getting the Rakatans, we're getting a lot of Easter eggs in these shows that said they're not going to have any Easter eggs. I'm not complaining, though.
I don't know if they'll make a lot of this canon.
I'm not going to trust nothing.
It's nice that they're at least acknowledging some of this.
Yes, that's the best part, is the acknowledgement. Which I think gets me really excited for Mandalorian Season 3. When they go to Mandalore, we're going to get a Mythosaur. They're going to show us a Mythosaur. He's going to ride it. Din's going to become Boss Hog.
Well, unless they change it, they should all be extinct a long time ago.
Yeah, but this one just survived somehow.
Legends.
This is the Force.
That's why it would be so cool to see one.
Yeah,
though.
one like Force imbued.
It'd be cool to see a
Mythosaur.
Kind of like a Game of Thrones.
No, I want the full thing.
Yeah, I want Din to be chosen like he's fucking King Arthur.
Because it would be really good, like tying in kind of the Force stuff.
See, the only big
the
problem
history.
though, but I at the same time I understand how it can't happen because Kylo Ren would have been like, oh, we need to go get this Mythosaur for the First Order because there's a fucking Mythosaur.
Yeah. Or it's living underground and hatched underground, and that's it.
Well, the Mythosaurs have been extinct way before Old Republic. It is a very long time ago.
But
it would be funny if they used the old. So in the Old Republic, there is these devices when the Neo Crusaders were invading.
Mm-hmm.
They had these strange robot mounts.
Oh, the wardrobe, Basilisk wardrobe.
They have a weird name to them, and they're so goofy looking, but it's just like a flying armadillo.
Yeah.
It's a robot.
Has a lot of guns on its face.
Battle. Yeah.
You can just drop from atmosphere directly to a planet with it, because that's how Mandos do. But because the Mandalorians, again, it's like either they have to go completely isolated, they have to either go completely into a state of isolationism, or they can't be that powerful, or they would have been in the sequels. So it's like they're written themselves into a strange corner, which I look forward to seeing how they get out. Which, again, that's why Andor is so awesome, though. You know how Andor ends? With him going to Rogue One and dying on Scarif. So, it's good.
I would like to see how the First Order kind of takes control. I would like to see, maybe when that transition between, we see a conflict between the First Order and some remnants of the Empire, and also the rising Mandalorians.
Yeah.
If not, we see them post. They see that now the First Order is gone. Now they want to take over.
And if nothing else, too, with these stories from the First Order, from the Empire, moving to the First Order in Andor, this is when we can start seeing a lot of the other really cool Sergeant Krell or Kanor Jax, just really cool random EU references to the Praetorian Guards. And what if one of the Praetorian Guards is Kanor Jax? So he doesn't become an emperor in a sense like he did in the comics, but he exists still. There's so many, and the Easter eggs and the hopes of who people are, the glup shittos, the random characters. That's one of my favorite things about Star Wars. It just always brings me back.
Well, it's cool to see famous names that we've only seen somewhere in a small outsourced. Like Thrawn, it was awesome to see him in animation.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were dying to see him in full. Like we did see some of the Clone Wars characters.
What if he shows up, or they
Cad,
drop him
like
in
we
this?
saw Cad Bane.
Oh, they could totally name drop him in this. He could easily show up in this.
He could easily just show up, and we were just all like, "What the fuck?"
Maybe we find out why we stopped seeing him in the later part of the Empire. Maybe we see him. They finally put a real canon on how he goes away.
We know why.
Not
well. There's
not
like an
fully,
era of time between.
Yeah.
He just isn't being used.
This is going on the same time as Rebels.
Yes.
And
Okay.
Rebels happens...
So why was Thrawn not
curious.
in episode 4, 5, and 6?
So he's gone.
Uh-huh.
He's getting taken with the Purgles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't know how long they're gone. We don't know when they come back. We don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
We don't know when Ezra comes back.
But when did they leave?
Like, within 5 years. Because they're gone right before the start of the Empire stuff.
Also,
or the fall.
We should start seeing his name because he shows up midway through the Rebels, and so he should already be involved. So we should start somewhere seeing him. So I mean, there's a lot of.
If nothing else, I do hope to see him. I'm always down to get more backstory and history with Thrawn.
Yeah, I'd like to see. It would be cool to see maybe if we ever see a second Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah.
If we can maybe see like a Jedi Kyle Katarn as like a short reference, and since he's kind of basically overwritten for his agent side, maybe we get to see kind of a Jedi version of him. I don't know, or maybe I don't know. So it's very interesting. Did you cover the also a big canon drop was the tablets? Did you?
Oh yes, I did talk about the World Between World tablets. I did.
I think. Well, we have a couple speculations with some upcoming characters. How do you? There's some people I was already reading reviews on that were speculating there's going to be a traitor in the group with casting. Do you know who you think there could be a traitor, and if so, do you know who it could be?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, because the whole Rebel Cell thing, it's so new. I just don't know. I don't know anyone or anything that's going to happen aside from I'm just curious to see if this mission is going to go off without a hitch. Or honestly, I'm waiting for it to blow up and go extremely bad. That's what I'm really waiting for.
This group gives me like a heavy Matrix vibes. With the crew.
That's very
big
very
one
good
is
point.
The young guy reminds me heavily of Mouse. How he's like super. He's the only one that's like happy and like.
Yeah. Me and Jess think he's force sensitive.
Apologizing about his model making.
Right. The show has a really fun thing that where it can take from a lot of those different places and show off a lot. It's got me, so like I'm hooked. I'm ready to see what's gonna happen.
I found it funny that in one of the interviews they said that it wasn't going to be heavy on pleasing the fans, like a lot of the like Boba Fett and some of them was, but they did it in a different way. Instead of like major story plots to please fans, now it's just like they're just throwing all the Easter eggs in the background.
Right.
So or just like saying names, just like it's no big deal, but it's like a So we get the big Old Republic name drop and then some of the planets. So that's I guess how they're doing the show is we're gonna do our own thing, but we're gonna please the fans by hiding all the craziness in plain sight.
Right, exactly. It's gonna be a good show. I think it's only gonna get better. I mean, I think everything seems to be paced really, really well now that I'm kind of like when I pull myself away and don't think about it as Star Wars and just watch the Andor show. It's actually paced really well and I really like it.
Well, I really love the setting. I love the set designs. Honestly, I was skeptical because they weren't doing the volume. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
And now that I've seen what they can do without it, I kind of like. if you can afford it, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
Let's keep
Right.
this is
Hey, Space
this is
Scotland
really
works.
good. The Coruscant was great. We didn't see like a whole lot of like actual Coruscant, but what we saw of it was they did a good job.
They did a very good job.
That's one thing I can say for this series is the set design is outstanding.
Yeah, it really, really is. The costume design too. Oh yeah, the costume design is through the freaking roof.
I'm surprised you didn't mention the whole Mon Motha get up. Her husband was like heavily like High Republic vibes.
Oh yeah, he did have a pretty he looked pretty drippy, but I hated the guy so much I couldn't like his clothes.
Yeah, he looks literally like a High Republic Jedi if you pay attention to him.
Yeah. No, I hate that guy's a great actor because I sure as hell hate him. I do not like him at all. He made me believe he really was a stuck-up, spoiled, rich kid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it has to give some kind of conflict for Mon Motha. I mean, she's basically on a planet full of anybody that, any slip up can get her killed easily.
Right.
So.
Oh yeah, no, that's the really crazy thing right now with the young rebellion is one major slip up, and if someone gets taken out like Luthen or Mon Mothma, the rebellion's gone. It's done.
Well, he even mentions it early on when he's talking to Cassian that he says that if you don't get killed for being a rebel, you could get it for like just stealing like something simple.
Right.
So they don't really need an excuse. Which I called it on the Empire taking over the corporate.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, they were.
It was pretty obvious. They've probably been waiting for that to happen.
Any chance? Yeah, any chance. The second the Empire gets a minuscule amount of identification or like anything that's like, oh, there's traitors or something here. Well, it's ours. They pick it up, they take it, they seize all assets immediately.
Well, because right now it has to have some kind of political tie because they're kind of coming into power.
Yeah.
So they have to have a political reason. Now they have their reason. So they're like, oh, we're in charge now. And so it's so funny is they literally take everything. You're like, you can't go home. We have to like debrief we have to go through everything. And you could see the difference between those corporate guys and the Empire because when they go through the stations, you see in the background the guys scraping up all the trash. They have like food wrappers and everything. There's even looks like a Thai food box.
Yeah.
On one of the consoles, the guys were just had all their food and everything. They were so, they weren't very clean. Which you can, if you look at the uniforms, you see that minus the one officer that tailored his.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm sure he'll want to join the Empire, but maybe he got too scared because he looked like he was terrified.
I could see it go one of both ways though. Yeah, I could definitely see it go one of both ways. And guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like the stream, subscribe to the channel, please. While you're here, we would love to continue these conversations as we continue more podcasts. We're gonna start getting ready to wind down, but to kind of end the last bit of it, I think the big reveal with Andor, like one of the big moments, will probably be a mission where an Inquisitor or Vader shows up. A red lightsaber is going to chase him down for like a little bit. That's my biggest prediction for Andor right now. I feel like he's going to get too big for his britches, or they're going to bite off more than they can chew. After this mission goes successful, he's going to get a big ego, and then he's going to have to deal.
Thrawn.
Or Thrawn or someone. Some big daddy from the Empire is going to.
I don't think this mission is going to go successful, but
yeah.
I think they're going to get out at the last second.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna lose a lot of those people. Yeah, there's like 2 people surviving. Not many
people are gonna make. The young guy is definitely not making.
Yeah, the young dude's so dead.
And then definitely after they fail this, well, they'll probably succeed at barely, and then that'll definitely catch them attention. So we'll probably get some big name guy going after them now.
And, I mean, it could be Veers. It could be. I'd take Admiral Veers or one of those too. But yeah, we're gonna see. I think in the next episode or either this episode, so 5 or 6, there's going to be a big name coming out.
We've seen a lot of intelligence guys. So
Yeah.
I imagine it has to be somebody counterintelligence, or it's got to be somebody on the intelligence side.
Yeah.
We don't, because like we see Obi-Wan, we see a lot of the Inquisitors. So it would only make sense we see somebody on the intelligence side being involved. So maybe you get one of the agents that are similar to the guy from Mandalorian or the guy from Rebels. I forgot their names.
Yeah.
The two agent guys.
Oh, Callus and them. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll see one of those type of guys. Who knows?
Right. An IBS
Those
agent.
would be the guys that they send in the field typically. So.
Very true. Alrighty, guys. Well, again, thank you so much for stopping by this evening. Again, we're gonna try and do more lives. We got things kind of working out, get the kinks worked out, and all that fun stuff. Every Friday, every Friday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We'll of course go over Andor and so many other things. Thank you so much. Don't again, please subscribe, like, share. Fun little hack. You don't even have to share it to anyone. Just hit the copy the URL button. Make the algorithm think this channel is bigger than it is, and let's grow this channel. Get huge, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. We will see you here next week. So may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.
And then we buffer. Yeah, because I gotta end it right to make sure. That's why I use hand gestures. And you spoke. Hey.